Welcome to this channel, and if it's your first time here, please subscribe to this channel. Also watch the video up to the end, leave a comment or your view on the Ambazonia conflict, hit the notification bell so that whenever you upload a new video on the conflict or any other topic, you are notified. So as we all know, Cameroon is playing host to 33rd edition of Africa Cup of Nations. This exact is 50 years since the country hosted the event for the first time in 1972. 1972 is a significant year for the southern Cameroons, or the English-speaking region of the Cameroon. This is the year that the federation, which was formed as a result of a vote that was taken to join the French Cameroon, was abandoned. Southern Cameroons have been agitated for their freedom because they feel they are marginalized by the Francophone speaking government of Cameroon. So for some years now, they have been agitating for their rights. They have been calling for creation of a state known as Ambazonia. As part of their protest, they have threatened to disrupt the African Cup of Nations 2022. So far, they have not done so, but there have been incidences of violence in this region. One of the cities in this region, Limbe, is hosting the Group F at Limbe Stadium, and there have been gunshots which have been reported near the training camps, but these incidences have not disrupted the events. Although there was an incident which is not related, where during the match between Mali and Tunisia, the referee stopped the match prematurely, first at 85th minute and second at 89th minute, and it also said that the referee fell sick and perhaps is why he was stopping the match prematurely. So this event dominated the social media and also in the mainstream media for some time, and perhaps it has made people to forget that there are threats to disrupt the events by the separatists. Another event that happened, and perhaps not many people noted, during the opening ceremony, there was a military parade as one of the activities. So people have been asking whether this is a tradition and what was the significance of this parade. Is it a tradition that has been happening in AFCON, where military parades have been part of the opening ceremony? Observers say that for Cameroon case, this may have been more political than for sports purposes. The country is going through a tough period. There is an ongoing civil war, although there are some people who don't want to refer this event as civil war. So in this video, we'll be looking at the Ambazonian conflict, its genesis, and also how it has metamorphosized over time. Although the current conflict started in 2016, when the Francophone government started crackdown on Anglophone separatists, its genesis can be traced to colonial activities. Going back to 1470s, this is when the Europeans started coming into this region that is now being claimed as a Ambazonia region. They were coming in as traders and explorers. By the time scramble for Africa was happening, the European had already settled in this area. The scramble for Africa gave Germans control over the area, securing them the colonial claims. Germany consolidated its control over the coast through agreements with local leaders backed up by military expedition. By 1914, the Germans had established control either directly or through the local leaders. This was to change, especially after Germany was defeated in World War I. Cameroon was to be turned into a League of Nations mandate territory, and it was split into two: the French Cameroon and the British Cameroon. The British administered their territory from the neighboring Nigeria, where it divided the British Cameroons into Northern Cameroon, which was administered as part of Northern Nigeria, and the Southern Cameroon, which was administered as part of Eastern Cameroon. In 1953, the Southern Cameroon's representative in the Eastern Nigeria Parliament demanded a separate region government for the Southern Cameroons, with a seat in Buyao. In 1954, Southern Cameroon gained limited autonomy as quasi-region. In 1958, the Southern Cameroons attained the status of a full autonomous region of the Nigerian Federation, and Andley's official title became the Prime Minister. Despite calls by the Southern Cameroon's leaders for full independence as a separate nation, United Nations resolutions called for plebiscites in Southern and Northern Cameroons, with alternatives for ending the trusteeship, joining Nigeria or joining Cameroon. United Nations referendum was held in both Cameroons in 1961, and this was to determine whether the territories should go, whether they should join Cameroon or whether they should join Nigeria. The option of independence was not in the ballot. This has been opposed by British, where the representative of UK to the UN Trusteeship Council, Cohen, said that they were not ready to gain independence, and also independence would not have been viable. It would not have, and it was also made by the African and Colonial anti-colonial relations, which was led by E.M. Endley and also John Fonchu, who favored the reunification with the Francophone Cameroon. After the vote, the results were Northern Cameroons voted by a majority, 60% in favor of joining Nigeria. The Southern Cameroons had a majority of 70.5%, favoring to integrate with Cameroon. Northern Cameroon officially became part of Nigeria on 1st June, while South Cameroon became part of Cameroon on October 1st. Between July 16th and 21, there was a conference that was held where the protagonists opted for the federation. The choice of this option was based on what has been termed as a misunderstanding. However, because the leaders of the two delegations, on one side we have the delegation from the French Cameroon led by Ahijo, and the delegation from the Southern Cameroon being led by John Foncha. These two sides did not have the same vision of the federation. The Foncha side accepted the federation while thinking of the confederation, where Biao would truly play the role of capital of a sufficiently autonomous Western Cameroon. Hijo, on the other side, accepted the federation while considering that it was only a step towards a unitary state where Yaoundé would become the only and true capital of Cameroon. In August 1961, the federal constitution was adopted, where Hijo became the president and John Foncha became the vice president. So the merger between the two sides was argued to have taken a structure in which the former Southern Cameroons assumed the statehood of the West Cameroon, and the Republic assumed that of East Cameroon. They termed it as a merger of equal states, as it was stipulated in 1961 Constitution. In 1972, things were to change when a referendum was held, and majority of the West Cameroon voted for a unitary structure. So this year, 1972, the federation was abandoned. And remember that the two sides, the French-speaking side has more population as opposed to the English-speaking side. So when a vote was held, it was obvious that the French-speaking side would win. More changes were to happen. In 1984, the name of the country was changed into United Republic of Cameroon to just Republic of Cameroon. This is the name that the Francophone Cameroon had before the 1961 plebiscite. So they were going back to what they were before 1961, before the federation. Since then, the Anglophones hold that they are being discriminated upon the basis of the colonial language. And what has been happening is that they have been going through a process of forced assimilation, like it happened during the colonization time. So Anglophones, or the English-speaking Cameroons, are pushing for autonomy. They want to go back to where they were before the 1961 plebiscite. Their call, they argue, is actually supported in a UN resolution passed in April 1961 that defines the joining of the two former territories as federation of two states, equal in status and autonomous. Fast forward to 2016, when the conflict is said to have started, when the current conflict is said to have started. It was a continuation of this process that they are calling the assimilation. The government, the Francophone-led government, was sending lawyers to the English-speaking side, sending magistrates to English-speaking side, and they even didn't have an understanding of the common law. The same was happening to the education sector. The government was sending teachers who spoke no English to teach even in non-French subjects. So this did not sit well with the people of the English-speaking region. So protests started. It started with lawyers, teachers, and other professionals joined. The government responded by using force. What started as strikes changed into armed conflict. Ambazonia declared independence. They even raised their own flags. They declared certain days as days where they would hold demonstrations, and this has continued up to now. Schools have been closed. Most of the operations in these regions have been halted, and what started as strike, as protest, have changed into an armed conflict. People have been defending themselves against the government, which is using force. There have been deaths. It is estimated that up to 3,000 people have been killed and millions have been displaced in the region due to conflict. So there have been attempts to resolve the conflict, but the process has been very slow. Both sides have taken extreme sides where the government is not ready to listen to the grievances of the people of Ambazonia, and the people of Ambazonia do not want to listen to the government. They just want to separate. They just want to go back to where they were before the plebiscite of 1961. Dr. Christopher Fumonyo has warned that failure to seek a lasting solution in the Anglophone conflict could worsen the situations in years to come. According to this scholar, the best way to solve the crisis where people have already taken arms is to find a neutral spot where they can, and also get an accepted mediator who can bring all the parties around the table and talk and try to resolve the conflict. To him, the warring parties in the presence of a neutral force would be able to sort out the grievances on which can be resolved and which cannot be resolved, and how to implement those which can be resolved. He has constantly argued that government and separatists need to resolve their differences with the use of a neutral third party. Among the recurrent suggestions is Swiss-led mediation, which was announced over 2 years ago, but it has not yielded fruits. So these talks need to happen and happen very fast, so that the conflict and the sufferings that the people of this region are going through can come to an end. The conflict has changed from one form into another. It started as protest, it has moved into a war, it moved to an armed conflict, it will move to a full-scale war where nothing happens in this region. There are several groups that have emerged out of this conflict. There are those that will feel that they need to secede, and then there are those who feel that the region should become an autonomous region, a semi-autonomous region where they are managing their own things. And then there are those who feel that the region should still remain part of Cameroon, but the grievances that they have raised should be addressed. So there's a need for the government to try and resolve this. Another suggestion that I've given is to have a regime change. The country has had one president in power for 40 years. So a democratic change has been argued can bring some semblance of peace, where the new government takes into consideration the grievances which have been raised by the people of Amazonia and try to resolve them. Perhaps through this way there will be no need of secession. So this is a conflict that we'll be watching how it unfolds. We hope that, it's our prayer that it is resolved as soon as possible. It's one of the worst conflicts of 2021. We hope in 2022 it will be resolved, and the region which has been experiencing conflict, the people in this region experience peace and they're able to engage in their day-to-day activities. So thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not. Leave a comment on this conflict and any other topic that we do. Like the video. Also hit the notification bell so that whenever we upload a new video on this topic or any other, you are notified. So thank you for watching this video.